December, and sorry for the disruption. First we will start about the lingering crisis of labor post-pandemic. Post-pandemic, in post-pandemic economy in the whole world, there is this crisis of employment. Why it happened? Because of the disruption in the supply chain that occurred after the pandemic. During the pandemic, there is lockdowns, there is shutdowns, there is migration of various laborers from urban areas to rural areas. There is also some sectors like, for example, educational sectors are completely closed. Schools, colleges, they are completely closed. And another thing is that tourism sector is completely suffered because of the pandemic. All the sectors suffered, but if you consider most importantly tourism and educational sectors, service sectors especially, hotel industries, they suffer the most, right? So that led to massive unemployment also. Various type of government also suffered a loss of resources, loss of revenues because of various lockdowns and stopping of business activities. If government gets less revenue, when public investment decreases, that issue arises in the market, right? And suppose government is getting sufficient revenues, they will invest in infrastructure development, for example, road or bridges, all these things, they will develop the infrastructure. And as government gives money to the economy, then economic growth occurs. But when government do not get revenues, they do not make public investment as well. That is the problem, right? Another problem is that, so this all the things, and some companies, yes, and if the demand is reduced in the market, obviously the supply chain, as a person, many person get unemployed. Many of the construction activities stopped because government projects are stalled. Right, many projects are stalled. There is irregular availability of laborers. All these things lead to the breakdown of supply chain system. Right, many people, that means that reduce, as so much people get unemployed, they do not have the power to purchase any goods from the market. That lead to decline in the demand, decline of goods in the demand, decline in the demand of goods in the market. And when demands reduced, that will ultimately lead to reduced production, right? See, that is when some people get unemployed. See, understand this cycle of economic crisis, unemployment, right? If some people get unemployed, this unemployment, this led to reduced demand in market. That led to reduced demand in market. Unemployment, that led to reduced demand in market. This reduced demand, this led to low production. Reduced demand led to low production, and low production unit led to further unemployment. Cyclic process of the world. So the International Labour Organization (ILO) recently released two reports that gave an indication of the global employment scenario post-pandemic. The Global Wage Report 2020-23, the impact of the inflation and COVID-19 on wages and purchasing power, discuss the twin crisis, inflation and economic slowdown, which created a striking fall in real monthly wages. This created a striking fall in the real monthly wages. Wages has reduced. In education sector and also in tourism or hotel industry, the wages are reduced significantly, right? Because demand of because these industries, their profit was very less, they are almost in loss. So there is lack of wages also in education and hotel industry, in all the industries especially. but these two industries suffer the most. Okay, so real monthly wages that also fall down. Report blames the war on Ukraine. Another factor there, war of Ukraine and global energy crisis. What is this war of Ukraine and global energy crisis? Because of war of Ukraine, the energy supply from Russia and the various sanctions are imposed on Russia by USA. That lead to global energy crisis. Recently, they are deciding to make a price cap in the Russian oil of $60 per barrel. Right, that will affect the Russia's economy, and when Russia's economy affected, indirectly that affect the whole world. Right, because in economy, if a particular economy suffers, demand reduces, as the countries who are exporting to Russia, they will all suffer because they are getting money from Russia by exporting various goods. Now the demand in Russia will decline, so the profit gained by other countries will also reduce. So ultimately, this war in Ukraine that led to global economic crisis. And what is this supply chain? What is this energy crisis? Energy crisis is now Russia says that if European Union will impose a price cap, that is fixed price, at a low price we will purchase from you, because the developed countries, they have decided that they all will purchase oil from Russia at a very low price, so that to hurt the economy of Russia. Now Russia is saying that I will not give oil if any such step is taken. If Russia will not provide oil, then whole further economic crisis in the whole world will instigate. So because of Russia and Ukraine war. Another thing is that, for example, in case of Iran, because of Trump administration, they have imposed restriction on Iran government regarding the supply of oil. So India was also getting Iranian oil, 15% of its oil from Iran. Now India has also suffered, Iranian economy suffered. So those countries who are making any trade with Iran also suffered because of that. So whole world is suffering, right? Trade war was also going on at that time. Trade war between USA and China. In the meantime, trade war happened. Both countries increased the taxes. That also hurt the economy. So because of the various steps, ultimately the world economy is now in negative. Russia-Ukraine war, Russia has negative growth. Many of there is Brexit, UK come out of the European Union. That is also a significant development in the whole European economy. That is a major development of the world, and that led to negative growth in Great Britain as well. So these are multiple reasons that led to the world economic crisis, and because of world economic crisis, and that led to the reduced employment opportunities for the people, and if that is available at low wages. Another report, Asia Pacific Employment and Social Outlook 2022, rethinking sectoral strategies for a human-centered future of work, stated that Asia Pacific region lost about 22 million jobs in 2022. They have lost around 22 million jobs. Asia Pacific region in various construction activities stopped, and the government projects have stalled because government lacked resources. This all led to tourism industry almost stalled. Various industries stopped. So that led to loss of around 22 million jobs. In Asia Pacific. The Director General Gilbert F. Hongbo warned the decrease in wages in placing millions of workers in a dire situation. Income inequality and poverty will rise if the purchasing power of the lowest paid is not maintained. See, purchasing power of the lowest paid is not maintained, then income inequality and poverty will rise. That means if you are not fixing the wages, minimum wages of a labor, then the whole economy will suffer. Because the minimum wages, for example, 30 to 40% of the if their wages are declined, majority they are the consumers in the market, right? Because we don't, for example, these people, their consumption is they are not consuming all their salaries or wages. But the lower section of people, they consume all their salaries. So 30% of the people, if their demand is reduced, then that will affect the whole economy, right? So if their purchasing power do not rise, the inequality will rise. In society there will be inequality and there will be poverty. Poverty leads to inequality, right? Next, what does the data shows? ILA report on wages looked at the real and nominal wages of employees. The word wage was defined as the total gross remuneration, including regular bonuses received by the employees during a specified period of for a time monthly for the report worked as well as for the time not worked, such as paid annual leave, paid sick leave, all these things. That is the wages, right? Real and nominal wages of the employees. Wage means the total gross remuneration, including the regular bonuses received by the employees during a specified period for a specified time, right? Okay. So, and also for the time who has not worked. For example, he has taken some leave and that is given money by the employee, then that is for the time not worked. That is the definition as per the ILO. The wages. So wages has declined. The nominal wage data shows adjusted figures after accounting for consumer price inflation, while real wage growth refers to the year-on-year change in real average monthly wages for all employees. What is nominal wage? So that adjusted figures after accounting the consumer price inflation. That means, suppose you are getting 100 rupees per month and inflation is 5%. Inflation means increase in the prices of goods. If next year your salary become 105, then it will show that your nominal wages has increased. If your nominal wages has increased, if it is 105, there is no changes in the real wages, because whatever you was purchasing at 100 rupees, now next year you will purchase the same thing as 105 rupees. So your wage has not really, the real wages has not increased at all. But nominal in the terms of numbers, we will see that 100 become 105. Okay. So that is nominal wage and real wage. Real wage has not increased. If it become 106, for example, if the figure become 106, we will say nominal wage has increased by 1 rupee. That is 6 to from 105 to 106. So that is by adjusting inflation. So the global wage report, the objective is to collect wage data from as many as countries and territories, which are then grouped into 5 separate regions. In India, the nominal wages rose to 17,000 per month in 2011 from 4,000 to 4,398 rupees in 2006. Right. So that means those persons who are either getting 4,398 rupees, they got 17,000 in 2021. This is how nominal wages increased. But when inflation is factored, the real wage growth in India plunged to minus 0.2%. That means there is no real wage growth. That means the lifestyle which you are earlier maintaining at 4,000, now you are not able to maintain the same lifestyle at 17,000. The negative growth in India started after the pandemic, negative wage growth, because salaries has reduced. In China, the growth decreased from 5.6% to 2% in 2022. So although there is positive, the growth has decreased from 5% to 2%. According to the report, the increased cost of living has greatest impact on lower income earners. Increasing cost of living has greatest impact on the lower income earners and their households, as they have to spend most of their disposable income on the essential goods and services. Right? Increasing cost of living has greatest impact on lower income earners. Increasing cost of living, if cost of living increases, that will affect the most the poorest, because suppose in a city a normal family can stay in a good house by or maintain a normal lifestyle by spending 30,000 rupees, for example, or 20,000 rupees. By spending 20,000 rupees, somebody can live in a small city. So the person who is earning 50,000, if this lifestyle increases, that we call as basically increasing cost of living. If increasing cost of living increases by 10,000, if it is become 30,000, so the person who is earning 50,000 will not be get affected more, because earlier he was, suppose he was saving 30,000 per month, now he will save around 20,000 per month or 15,000 per month. But this person who was earlier getting 20,000 or who was earlier getting 30,000 will be affect the most, because there will be no saving and you have to maintain a particular minimum lifestyle, right? You have to take a minimum 2 BHK house, take a minimum, at least you should have a bike. So all these things, the minimum life, increasing cost of living, that affect the low income earners the most. Next, is inequality rising? The Asia Pacific level, only jobs, high skill occupations saw a recovery from the COVID-19 crisis. Jobs in the high skill occupations, that saw a recovery. That has got the recovery, right? So those people earlier who are highly paid, they are getting their wages from the COVID-19 crisis, which is true across all sub-regions. The ILO said that it is raising concerns about increased inequality. Inequality is increasing. While there is an employment gain of 1.6% among high skilled workers between 2019 and 2021, there is no substantial gain among the low and medium skilled workers. Among the G20 countries, the report noted a significant gap in the average level of real wages between the advanced G20 countries and emerging G20 countries. There is real wage gap in the advanced G20 countries and emerging G20 countries. So there is also a huge inequality between the G20 countries, the top advanced G20 country and the emerging, such as India. It is a level of about $4,000 per month in advanced economies, where it is 1,800 per month in emerging economies. So there is also a huge gap in the wage. So inequality is rising in the international level, it is national level, at state level, at district level, also at individual level. Inequality is rising. What are the remedies? The report suggests that set up policy options in response to the cost of living crisis. According to the report, 75 to 95 million people were pushed into extreme poverty during COVID-19. It says the bargaining process for future nominal wage adjustments should embrace a sufficiently large but prudent price expectation. Yes, 95 million people, they have been exposed to extreme poverty. This could contribute to the safeguarding the standard of living households, particularly low income households, against unexpected future inflation hikes, and while avoiding the understandable wage inflation spiral. Right? Next, wage report says that there is a need to strengthen the labor market institutions and wage policies. Labor market institutions and wage policies. Wage policies means many of the companies at present, they are not obeying the wages. They are not adhered to the minimum wages mandated by the government, right? So in such a situation, this labor market institution and the government, they must enforce the laws properly so that the minimum wage, they will get a minimum wage. Next, the ILO states that the creation of decent formal wage employment is not a prerequisite for a more equitable distribution of wages income. It is a key contributor to equitable and sustainable wage growth. Yes, equitable and sustainable wage growth, it is a contributor, right? Decent formal wage, that will grow your economy. If decent formal wage occurs, that will grow your economy because that will create demand in the economy. So mandating a particular minimum wage is good for economy. It's not bad for economy. ILO wants government to focus on gender pay gap. While women leave the labor market, they are less likely to return than men. Yes, when women leave the labor market, they are less likely to return to the men. This is a problem. Once somebody is settled, then they leave the job, especially informal job. They usually do not return. Many times it is observed. Report says that the multilateral approach is the key to solving the crisis around us. There is urgent need to address the negative impact of climate change, negative effects of climate change, increasing inequalities, right? Poverty, discrimination, violence, exclusion, endured by millions of people, including discrimination that women and girls continue to suffer in many parts of the world, so that we can increase the labor force participation and increase the percentage of women in urban areas. Access to adequate sanitation and essential health care for all, and the growing digital divide between poor and wealthier countries. Digital divide between poor and wealthier countries is increasing. Digital divide means access to technology, that is increasing, right? These countries are getting more and more developed with respect to technologies, and poor countries are also suffering more. Soil health card scheme. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar recently inaugurated the National Conference on Soil Health and Management and Sustainable Farming. According to the minister, more than 20 crore soil health cards distributed across the country. What is the need of soil health cards? India has a problem of agricultural mismatch, right? Agricultural mismatch means we don't analyze, earlier we are not analyzing the nature of the soil, what type of crop is fitted for the soil, how much water should be given, what type of seed will be best, and that was missing, right? And how much fertilizer we should use. So all these things are very complicated and varies from different area to different area. So government has launched a soil health card scheme to observe all these things and to stop this agricultural mismatch. Okay. So Agriculture Minister has said that it has allocated more than 20 crore soil health cards to the people, to the farmers. In February 2015, soil health card scheme was launched. The Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers, Welfare Department of Agriculture and Cooperation promotes the soil health card, a program of the Government of India. The Department of Agriculture in each state union territory government is responsible for the implementation. So state government will implement it, central government has made the scheme. It's aimed to educate the farmers about the status of their farm soil nutrients and provide guidance. Status of their nutrient soil and amount of fertilizers that they have to use. The program is being implemented across the states and union territories. Soil health card program calls for state governments for analyze the composition. So state government will implement it. Soil health card scheme is a printed report that farmer receives in each of the land holding, right? What is the requirement of the soil, and what type of crop will be suitable for that particular soil. That is soil health card scheme. Okay, it will include information about the soil condition concerning 12 factors. What are those 12 factors that are in soil health card scheme? For example, NPK, macronutrient, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Then secondary nutrient, zinc, ferrum, copper, manganese and boron, that is micronutrients. pH, this EC and OC physical parameters, how much acidic or basic your soil is, all these are calculated by of the soil 12 parameters. SHG administered the succeeding cycle of 2 years will be able to document any changes in the soil health during that period. Any changes in the soil health. The government intends to implement the program for all farmers. Every region of the country will be covered. The farmer should receive a report, all the information about soil, specific farm. It will be issued to farmer once every 3 years. Once in every 3 years it will be issued. That is consisting of 12 factors. The aid of GPS instruments, the revenue maps, soil samples will be drawn in the grid of 2.5 hectare in the irrigated area and 10 hectare in the rainfed area. The staff of the state government department of agriculture states that a contract organization will be used for gather sample. Yes. Students from nearby agriculture and science colleges may also included in the state government. Generally, soil samples are collected twice a year. Then there is no standing crop in the field after the harvest. Yes, after the harvest and before the harvest, then they will give a soil health card. Okay. Next is purchasing manager index. Services in PMI hits 3-month high. Purchasing manager index is an indicator of business activity both in manufacturing and service sector. Indicator of business activity. It is a survey based on measures that asks the respondents about the changes in their perception in some key business variables from the month before. It is calculated separately in the manufacturing and service sector, and then a composite index is constructed. Right, for both manufacturing and service sector, either it will be calculated and then a composite index is constructed, that is purchasing manager index. The index is compiled by, who is compiling is S&P Global, from responses to questionnaires sent to purchasing managers in a panel around 4,000 manufacturers. So they will send some questionnaires to the manufacturers and they will get the answer. They will calculate the purchasing manager index, that is business activity. The PMI is derived from a series of qualitative questions. Executives from the reasonably big sample running the hundreds of farms are asked whether indicators such as output, new orders, business expectations, employment are stronger than the month before and asked to rate them. They will rate the output, new orders, what are the output, business expectations, employment, right, whether they are stronger or not. That will be calculated in the purchasing manager index. So 50 denotes expansion in the business activity, anything below 50 denotes contraction. So this is the value, 50 denotes expansion. If it is better than 50, then that is good. If it is less than 50, then it is bad. Higher the differences from this midpoint, greater the expectation, expansion or contraction. The rate of expansion can also be judged by the comparing the PMI with that of the previous month data. If the figure is higher than the previous month, then economy is expanding. Right? Yes. If it is more than the previous month, then economy is expanding at a faster rate. If it is lower than previous month, then the economy is growing at a lower rate. PMI gives indication. Yes, PMI gives indication of the corporate earning. Corporate earning. It gives about corporate earning or corporate output. Then what are NBFCs? Shriram Finance becomes the largest NBFC post merger with two group entities, that is Shriram Transport Company and Shriram Union Company. The non-banking financial company is also known as non-banking financial institutions, NBFCs, provides financial services like license, like for example like insurance, recognized as a bank with a full bank license. They provide financial services like for example insurance. NBFCs are not banks, but their activities include lending or giving loans, for example. Other activities as per the providing loans and advances, credit facilities, savings and investments, trading in the money market, emerging stock market, money transfer and so on. NBFC registration is required before NBFC activities. So these all things are done by the NBFCs, that is non-banking financial companies. Right? Non-banking financial companies are also there. Hiring, leasing, infrastructure finance, venture capital. Venture capital means investing in a particular company. Right? Housing finance, all these things can be done by NBFC. Deposits can be accepted by only term deposits and deposits repayable demand. Yes, demand deposits are not accepted. Only term deposits are accepted. That means you cannot withdraw the money immediately. You can only deposit at a particular interval of time. Term deposits. Some examples are Kotak Mahindra Finance, SBI Factors, Sundram Finance, ICICI Ventures. So types of investments, there are different types on the basis of activity, on the basis of deposits, on the basis of asset size. So these are all about your NBFCs. Remember, NBFC cannot accept checks, they cannot accept demand deposits. They are also governed by the Companies Act 1956. Okay, the lectures end here, and like this video and share and subscribe to VANIK-IAS. Thank you.